Welcome once again, guys and gals out there in the YouTube comic book community, wherever and whenever you're watching. I'm back with another video, another well, you know, pull pull video, which is a very small pull for me this week. Before we get that, I wanna do a few shout outs to some very special people, I guess. First of all, to Sharpanat, who thank you for the kind words, man. I really appreciate it. Said some very nice things about me the other last week on Saturday, I think it was, in Art 95's comic book Saturday special. Um, I also saw your video, PKR. Send me a PM so we can arrange something because I don't really know where we could chat. So just give me the details. Definitely would love to chat. That's one of the things I love about this community is getting to know new people that in other circumstances be we wouldn't necessarily meet. Um, and a special shout out to R95 again. I did one about a month ago, I think. But Rob, what a great guy. As you all know, he's a huge supporter of the community. Always shouting out people in his live shows, which are you know uh, one of the best I've seen, and I've only seen a few live shows here in the community. But I know there are a few others. Comic book roundtable, which is also today, and of course Comic Con Wednesdays on Wednesdays. But definitely, you know, there are no words I can say to express my gratitude for our Dottie 95. He's such a great guy. I've been thinking of sending him something. I know exactly what I'm gonna send him whenever I get around to actually buying it. But I definitely been thinking about it, so I might probably be sending him something sometime soon. You know, uh, just as a big thank you, for everything, for the support, for being such a great guy. So before we get to the comics, for this week, which like I said, it's a very small pool. I have to say, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I am glad Villains Month is over and we can continue with our regularly scheduled stories. Um, you know, I was excited about it. It became such a huge mess in the end. A little bit overwhelming for me. Uh, I mean, or maybe for a lot of us, the whole 3D thing was, it was a good idea, but with the distribution problems, some people not getting their 3D comics, other people are hoarding the 3D covers. I was just reading a report on CBR, and they were saying where they asked retailers how Villain's Month was for them, and there were a few that mentioned there was a mention of one actually mentioned that other stores were charging up to like $10 for the 3D covers, as if they were variants, which they weren't variants. Others just interested in the covers and not so much in the stories. One retailer said he was asked if there was a certain 3D cover, and when the retailer said no, but there was a 2D version, you know, people just turned the 2D versions down, and he actually mentioned or said, if this he would have if this had only sent, the 3D covers without, any pages inside, they probably be selling just as well. So really sad that there are people who weren't interested in the stories themselves. Um, you know, more so the remake one. I mean, DC sold well this a month, but the remake one, and what can you say? It's sad that maybe people. I asked a few weeks ago, in my few videos ago, uh, if this would interest people in picking up, other books that they didn't really regularly read. But it seems that for a lot of people it was just the whole gimmick thing. And here in Mexico, uh, and I also mentioned it, uh, you got the 2D covers. The 3D covers, if you order them for your pool, you'll be getting the 3D covers. But what my shop did, and I'm thinking about, I go to two shops. One's a small shop, which I love going. I've been going there for 13 years. That was the first shop I went to, and I'm still a loyal customer because the guy that runs the shop is really cool. And then I go to a larger shop, which is a chain store, and I go to the main store. And what they did is, instead of putting, the 3D covers alongside the 2D covers, what they did is they took a bunch of their surplus 3D covers, packaged them with the 2D covers, and charged for both at different prices, which was insane because you had some that were around maybe 15 bucks, 140 pesos, so around 15 bucks, and there's going for 50 bucks. I mean, um, I'll show you my first comic and I'll tell you, what I mean, which is, this is the only one I bought, Wonder Woman 23.2, the firstborn. Uh, and this one with its 2D cover, it was like around 470, around 50 bucks, 50 bucks to get both covers, which I thought it was very, very unfair, you know, because you don't give the customers options either. I mean, they order a whole boatload of 3D covers. They got a boatload of them, but instead of giving you the option to buy one cover or the other cover, you buy the regular 2D cover, the 299 version. And if you want to get the 3D cover, you have to buy it with packaged with the 2D cover at, insanely high prices. So, sometimes I wonder, and they always do this shop. They always do it with anything that you think it's gonna be hot. They did the same thing with the new 52, some issues of the new 52, where they overcharged the thing, and their excuse was that way, we control hoarders, people who would buy multiple copies and sell the whole thing out. But it's insane. If there's some control, they would just say one per customer instead of overcharging for something that it's not worth. It's worth its cover price. So and they did it again with the 3D stuff. Instead of giving you the option, either you get one or the other, you have to buy the two damn covers for you know for you know very unequal pricing, really high or really low, you know 15 to 50 bucks for both covers, and that always makes me mad because you know now they're the ones that are actually speculating with the comics instead of the hoarders. They feed into these insane and stupid collectible mindset. I mean, okay, a variant makes sense because each variant, they're printed in less numbers, but the 3D covers, I mean, they were supposed to be the regular stuff, the regular cover before just decided to go for the to add the 2D cover. So, anyways, as I was saying, so I got this, the firstborn and or firstborn actually, um, uh, and this for me, this is a must read for me because I read Wonder Woman, and Brian Azzarello, who wrote it, said that this issue was coming anyways, despite being for the villains month. He said he just had to kind of rewrite it a bit around the missing Wonder Woman, just focusing more on the firstborn. Now, if you don't know who the firstborn is, stop this video, go to your shop, uh, or go online, look it up, buy a couple of the latest Wonder Woman issues, and come back because this is an insane issue, and I mean, and Azarel is doing an amazing job, writing Wonder Woman with Cliff Chang, I think, is doing the art, and some other people. So just stop this, go to your shop. I'll wait for you. Anyways, so this is basically the origin of the firstborn, you know, uh, who was Sue's firstborn child. But there was a prophecy that he would rule the Olympus by himself. So instead of sharing the power like Zeus was doing with his brothers, he was gonna take over and rule Olympus all by himself. So Zeus, being Zeus, throws him down in the earth, abandons him. Actually, he was supposed to be killed by a witch, but Hera, you know, uh, felt like any mother would feel. So they basically abandon him on Earth. He grows up. Actually, he's sort of reminds me a bit to the whole legend, of the founding of Rome. A bit, or the the Jungle Book. It was actually raised by I believe, yeah, hyenas. So he ends up being very brutal, very sorry about that. Just kind of got kind of cloudy. So there we go. So, anyways, he was raised by hyenas, and he became a very brutal, bloody man. He started wars, conquered lands. He pretty much, you know, fed on hate and on war. And Olympus wasn't answering, or heaven, until he said to declare war on heaven. But that didn't last very long, and he sent down to earth again, buried in the very center of the earth, until in recent issues of Wonder Woman he was liberated. So very good issue, and a must-read book for me. Like most of the books that I got from Villains Month, all of them were more or less tied to what to the books that I'm reading. And I actually just bought eight of the 52 villain books. Eight, only eight. So, you know, so this is very good. The whole Wonder Woman series is awesome. So go pick it up. Very unique in its approach. Very unique. So, okay, sorry, it's getting dark. Uh, a little bit. So, um, anyways, the sun should be coming out a bit. You know, we've been having a very good day today. Actually, we've been having a lot of rain. Um, in Mexico in general, we had a couple of hurricanes. A few floodings, and today, we have had a rare sunny day, but rain's coming. So, anyways, I'll keep going with this thing. So that was the only book I bought, and I bought a couple of back issues. First off, All New X-Men #1. Uh, I thought I was going to have trouble getting this issue because the shop only had two of the variants, and of course they were a little pricey. So I just went from issue 2 onward, various printings. This is #1 first printing, uh, which they had a couple at the shop yesterday, so I picked this one up. Finally, read it. I really love I love the cover in general. Uh, I've seen a couple of these being done in a few X-Men books I have, and I've been rereading a lot of my you know X-Men books. Actually, just finished reading last night. I reread issue 500, and I probably read it up to the last issue that I have, which is 511. Uh, so yeah, I'm very happy I actually got this. So now I'm pretty much up to date. And when it comes to collecting a lot of the series that I can get my hands on from the start, I usually just go, chronologically from the first issue to whatever issue I have to get caught up. As you know, I picked issue 15 and I picked up issue 16 while, getting the back issues of the series. So glad I got #1 finally. Very cool. And I also picked up issue number 5 of All New X-Men. So I'm really being, for the glare, I've really been enjoying this series. And I've heard, like I mentioned before, I heard so many good things about it that I, you know, had to pick it up. So I mean, and yeah, it is a pretty slow book, if you will. You know, it took 5 issues to get to this point. But that's what you get when you have Brian Michael Bendis writing, and you know, and the thing about Bendis is he really, as they say, he packs a lot of. He's very wordy, but he packs a lot, and like so the artists themselves, pack a lot of art, which I love, and it certainly reminds me a little bit of the old comic books from the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, where you had a lot of the 60s, where you had a ton of words, but a ton of stuff happened, and you know, even if it takes so long, you know, for 5 issues to get to, I guess, finish like the first act of of the of the story. a lot of stuff happen, and some people really will complain saying, "Oh my God, this is so slow," but or it took so long. But in this case, if you can, pack a lot of stuff, a lot of little bits and pieces going on, make it dynamic, even if it feels a little bit stretched out, it wouldn't feel so stretched out. So, you know, you kind of think, for example, we're talking about Bendis, his original run on Ultimate Spider-Man, 5 or 6 issues for just the origin story. But, you know, Bendis really focuses more on character rather than action. So while the origin took a long time to come, what Stanley and Steve Ditko did in, I believe, maybe 10 pages, 6 issues. But within those 6 issues, we got to know Aunt May, Uncle Ben, Peter and his friends. So, you start getting all these little extra stuff that, an old Silver Age story wouldn't fit until, wouldn't fit in because it had to be dynamic. And in fact, um, same thing goes for this. You had just a limited amount of pages to write to tell the story. So sometimes character development, getting to know the characters was very very brief. So the same thing with all new X-Men and all of the stuff that Bendis does. It's more character folk based than just basically being plot driven. So that's what I picked up this week. Once again, first son, firstborn, all new X-Men #1. Great art, great story. Definitely, you know, I can't believe it took me so long to get into the series. Surprise was the main culprit, and New X-Men #5, all New X-Men #5. So I had some other thoughts to share, but I don't want to make this video too long. So uh, I'll be seeing you next time. Until then, keep smiling.